Hello everybody, welcome back to another AutoCAD tutorial. Hope you guys had a good break. It's good to be back, and it's so nice to see all of you again. So today we are going over the panel door AutoCAD drawing. There are two big commands you need for this one. I'll mainly be going over dim style and multi-leader stuff, but I will do the beginning of the assignment, or like as much I think is necessary to get you guys started. So first and foremost, always check. We're gonna do units. Make sure we are in architectural, inches, 1/16 precision is a-okay, and we'll click OK. This drawing is going to be at 3/4 inch equals 1 foot. So we're gonna import that drawing into our model space, but first we're gonna do layer. We're gonna do layer. We're gonna make a new layer called ref. This is going to be for our reference image later on. It'll help guide us as we make this drawing. And the first thing we need to figure out is how this 8.5 by 11 sheet is going to be living on our model space. And at 3/4 of an inch, an 8.5 by 11 sheet has a certain dimension. And we're going to do some basic conversion factor math. I'm going to open up my calculator. So we know that we have an 8.5 by 11 sheet. So we're going to take the first dimension, which is 8.5. We're going to take 8.5. We want this to be sitting at 3/4 scale in model space. So we're going to divide by 3. We get 2.8. And then we're going to multiply this by 4. So we get 11.3. But for the sake of time, we're just going to make this 11.4. So our first line, make sure your ortho is on. We're going to draw a line. Click, and we have 11.4, which is going to be 11 feet 4 inches. Oops, 11 feet 4 inches. This is going to be our first line. This is the short edge of that sheet. And we're going to go back to the calculator. And we're going to do the same thing, but for 11. Hello? 11. So we're going to take 11, divide that by 3, enter, we get a number, multiply that by 4, we get 14.6. We're going to make this 14.7. So we're going to do offset through 11 feet, oops, feet, 7 inches. And we're going to just close this up, and this is our sheet of paper. And then we're going to match the PDF to this shape. With our sheet ready to go, don't forget to make this part of your reference layer. We're actually going to make one more layer called layout, and this is for later on in the tutorial. We're also going to lock that reference layer so we can't move the sheet. So now we're ready to start drawing. And step number 1 says we're going to draw a rectangle that is 3 feet by 6'8". And really simple, just going to do polyline, 3 feet, 6'8", feet, 6'8". And we're going to copy this and move on to step number 2. For step number 2, it says to draw the jambs to outside, and we have a 4-inch offset from the jamb, or from the door. So what I like to do is just split this. Then we could do, we do offset through 4 inches. And we could do the other side, 4 inches as well. Ready to go. And we're moving on to step 3, which is the offsets of these panelings. So we have 4, 12, 4, 12, 4 going horizontal, and 8, 2, 4, 2, 4, 1, 4, going horizontal. So the best way to do this is to just use your offset tool. So we're gonna copy this, move it over, and we're gonna do offset. We're gonna make sure we choose our starting position, which is here, and the first number was 4. So we're gonna go to the right 4 inches, and we're just gonna continue this pattern. Now with your grid setup, you could adjust. You can get the rest of the panels through that. And I think that's as far as I'm going to go in showing you how to do this. The rest you could figure out on your own. And then next time you see me, it'll be dim style. So when you've gotten to this point, your door is pretty much done. It should look exactly like this if you follow the directions correctly. And the next part I'm going to talk about is dimensioning and just getting those annotations. So we want your annotations to look exactly like this. It has a really nice tick, architectural tick, and the text is centered. But when you use standard annotations, it'll look like this. So it's in decimal form. The text is really small, and we're using arrows. But don't worry, I'm gonna go through dim style and how to set that up, have it exactly as it is in the drawing for Kevin. So the command for this is going to be dim style, enter, and a new manager is going to come up. So this is what is currently applied, which is just standard. And this box is your preview of what that annotation is going to look like. So we're just going to modify this one. So we're going to go to modify. There's going to be a bunch of tabs, but I will go through each tab with you with individually. So the first tab is line. We are going to set baseline spacing to 1 inch. Extended dim lines is also going to be 1 inch. Oops. This will also be 1 inch. And this fixed extension line will be 2 inches. For the next tab, which is symbols and arrows, make sure your arrowheads are set to architectural tick. Both of them should change by default. We're going to make this arrow size also 1 inch. And you'll notice as you're making changes, the preview is starting to change. As for center marks, going to be 2 inches. Don't be discouraged by this preview. We're still making changes and it'll look good at the end. Dimension break size 2 inches. And then we can move on to the next tab. Next tab is text, super important. We're gonna make the text height 1 inch. We're gonna make sure text placement is centered, and we're gonna have it aligned with the dimension line. As for offset from the dim line, we're gonna make this 1 inch. Fit. I don't think we change much in here. No, we do not. For decimal, we are going to change, for primary units, we're going to change decimal to architectural. And I think that is all we need to change in here. Alternate units, there needs to be no change. Tolerances also don't need to change. So I'm going to press OK. And once I press close, you're going to notice that my annotation changes. Perfect. It's looking a lot better, a lot cleaner. And with your dim style ready to go, you are ready to individually dimension your door. So the command for that is just dim, enter. You're going to grab a corner, choose a corner, and drag down. And we're going to do this for the entire door. So we're going to go across first, and then you could pull your dimension down, so on and so forth. And with that And once you finish this, you are now ready to move on to your leader lines, which will be these callouts. So leader lines are very similar to the dim style. So to access your leaders, you're gonna go up to this drop down menu, and we're gonna look for annotation, and then we're gonna click on leader, and you'll notice it's gonna ask you to place your arrowhead. So this is the first square of our detail, which is 3/4 bevels offset command. So we're gonna find that midpoint, drag that line out, and then you'll see an arrow and a text bubble come up. Up here, you could change your text size, your font, which is Arial, and then over here, you could change the justification. We're gonna have to have it on left for this, so and you could just start typing. So 3/4 inch bevel. Why is there a tab there? Bevel. Oopsies. Oopsies. Bevel, and it says offset command. But you'll notice that offset command. Yes, save that. But you'll notice that it's a little small compared to our dimensioning ticks over here. To edit this style, we're gonna go back up to leader. We're gonna click, oh, sorry. No, we're gonna click annotation, and we're gonna look for the same symbol that leader has, which is the circle with a downward arrow. And we're gonna click on this box, and this should bring up style. So we're gonna do the same thing, and we're gonna modify this text style for our multi-leader. We're gonna go to modify, and we're gonna go to leader format. We're gonna make sure this size is 1 inch. Enter, and this break size is 2 inches. As for leader structure, we are going to change the landing distance to 2 inches. And as for content, we are going to change text height to 1 1/2 inch. And I'm gonna press OK. And once I press close, you're gonna see this multi-leader change once more. It's better. It's a better size. So when you have your multi-leaders and your dimensionings, it should look a lot like this. And from here, we're actually ready to set up our layout. So there's two ways you could do a layout. We could use this box we created earlier, which should be in the correct scale for 3/4, or we can use layout 1, which I'll show you first. We could use layout 1 because this is already an 8.5 by 11 sheet, and we could adjust the scale to fit our needs. So for this drawing, we need it to be 3/4, which is right here. Click 3/4, and the door should be already in scale for us. So for this method, we're going to be using multiple viewports. Oopsie, sorry. We're going to be using multiple viewports to get the scale that we need. So here's our door. And we are just going to move these things around to make it look like the sheet that we need. And I'll be back. So when we get to this part, you'll notice there's an issue. On the drawing that Kevin has supplied you, the doors on the left side are smaller than this main door, which is at 3/4 scale. And if we put this viewport at 3/4 scale, not everything's gonna fit. So this is where you would play around with your scale in viewport. want to choose an appropriate scale that would fit all your entire process into this drawing. So let's see, let's go 1/8. That's a little too small and I can't really see anything. Go a little higher. Let's try 1/4. Yeah, 1/4 looks like it's working the best. So now this viewport is at 1/4 scale. And then we can continue from there. So this is what my layout currently looks like with multiple viewports. Don't be afraid of all the boxes. Once you print this, that graph shouldn't show up. But before we go any further, I'm going to make a layer. I'm going to call it viewport VP, and we're going to make sure we click this printer because we don't want it to show up when we print or export to PDF. And I'm going to select all of these viewports, go to PR, go to VP. Nothing changed on the sheet, but once we plot, it will not show up. So now we're ready to add text to this document. So just to be sure, I'm gonna check my layer. We are working in the layout layer, and we're gonna add some text. So we're gonna go up to text, add a single line. We're gonna choose our start point, and it's gonna ask for a height. We're gonna ask for the rotation angle, which is 0. We're gonna enter, and then we're gonna call this. Panel door. We're gonna call this panel door. Panel door. It's a little big. Oopsies. A little big. That was a little too big. If your panel door is too big in Paperspace, you could always just select it, go to PR, then we could change the height right here in text. I'm gonna make this 0.25. Half is a little too big. And that looks a lot better. So we're just gonna move that, and we're gonna add one line. I'm gonna copy this, hold Shift and move, or if you have ortho on, you don't have to. Do it right there. Double click to edit, and we're gonna do number 1. Move and adjust. And then we could copy this again. We can make this one, I believe it was panel details. Panel. Oops. Panel. For panel details, actually, you need a multi-line. So for panel details, you're going to go to text and do multi-line. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to select detail. So this is a little too big. Down to 4th. 4th's a little too big as well. Yes. Match. Yes. This is still a little too big, huh? PR. Let's do. That's better. 1/8. And then you could do you could add the rest of your text for this document, and then you'll be done. If you want to set up your document within model space like this, you're going to need a conversion factor to convert these one-to-one drawings to a smaller drawing so it'll fit within your paper space. And the factor that I found to work was 0.313. So we're going to type in scale. We're going to grab a corner, make sure your snap is on. Then we're going to type 0.313, enter. And now these drawings will fit in the page appropriately. And once you move these drawings within this paper paper space, you could add text as well. For this one, we are going to be in layout layer as again, and we're going to do text, and we could do this one single line. So we're going to choose a corner, and I know for this one it's going to be 5 inches. And then we're going to do panel door. Oopsies, I always do that. 5 inches, 0, panel door. Look out. We can adjust this, and we're going to make our line that goes across. If you don't have ortho on, make sure it's on. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to copy, bring to the edge, and we're going to edit. And this is going to be number 1. Look out. Now we're going to need panel details here again. So we're going to do multi-line. Then it's going to ask for an opposite corner. We're going to do panel detail. This is also still a little too big. I believe it is in size. We are going to make this 3 inches. Perfect. Yes, panel details. Perfect. And once this document is ready to go, we're going to go to layout 2 because layout 1 had the multiple viewports. And all we really need to do is zoom in on this one because we already know it's the scale. We could just go all the way in to 3/4. Match the inner rectangle with your page, and you're ready to go. And then you're done. Good job. See you guys next time, I guess. I don't have anything else to say.